I'm Sam Waterston. You're watching Visionaries, proud to present its 11th season on public television.
Visionaries is produced in partnership with the Ash Institute for Democratic Governance and Innovation at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Visionaries was made possible in part by the Exposition Foundation, Incorporated, the Kenneth A. Scott Charitable Trust, a Key Bank trust, and by Dr. Fred Eshelman. Additional funding has been provided by the following.
Sometimes you read the paper and watch the news, and it seems like there's more bad news than good in the world. But you know what? It's just not true.
I at least can hold on to something, that there's something, maybe it's small, but there's something that I'm doing to make a difference.
It's just a feeling that you have. If you can help people, you have to. There's no alternative.
Every child has potential that we just can't know. And so, to my mind, that's what we're doing. We are saving potential for the future.
Let me throw out an idea. I'd like to be able to treat 100 million poor people a year by 2050. Oh, and I want to do this without any charity hospitals or government subsidies. And one more thing, I don't want a lot of American physicians running the show. I'd like local people solving their own problems. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm not going to do it. A man named Willie Hunter is doing it. This is how. He's charging the poor. Yes, that's right. He asks the poor to pay for their care. Sure, an operation may only cost $200, but they are paying, which means they expect quality care and feel a sense of dignity and pride that they are solving their own problems. Come with us now to the Dominican Republic, to the flagship hospital in Willie Hunter's grand plan to create a truly sustainable healthcare system for the poor around the world.
We came here 33 years, almost 34 years ago now, with the Mennonite Church. Basically, we've never looked back. The Santana Center, that we're 5 minutes from, is a center that is taking care of 130,000 poor people a year.
I was born and raised here in the Dominican Republic, and even though my parents are American, this is really my home.
One of the first things that happened when we arrived was a guy by the name of John Shannon, who was actually the founder of this organization, showed up at my doorstep and asked if I would help him do some medical work. And I said, sure. He resigned a few years later, and I became the executive director of what is now Medical Ministry International.
The kids that come to the nutritional program are children that are malnourished for a variety of reasons. They might have a physical problem, or they might be lack of education in the home.
The mothers here in this feeding program are mothers from the areas around the hospital. They are low-income people in what we call barrios.
The program involves not only getting the child back to proper nutritional state, but also educating the mother or the family. It's very much a family-oriented system, and it's felt, and it's the repeated testimony that you get by patients is that I feel so comfortable, and like this is my family, and it's clean, and it's friendly, and I think the little things that make all the difference in the world.
As we began to move into this permanent center that we're going to visit right now, it became obvious to us that we had a really decent model that could be replicated around the world.
This is so much about dignity, because we take the time to treat each person.
Algo muy importante que cabe destacar de Wadi es que ella no es su madre. Su madre lo abandonó y el papá se tuvo que hacer cargo de él y ahora ella está esperando otro bebé.
Bueno, lo llevé porque ya estaba bien desnutrido, tenía una desnutrición de 13 grados, estaba ya engurruñado, con la piel engurruñada. Muy mal estado.
One of the things that makes this center so unique, and one of the things that we do differently, is that the great majority of our patients actually pay for their services.
We charge the poor. One of the misconceptions is everybody says we come in with our point of view and look at how people live, and we're passing some of that right now, and say how these people can't possibly pay. And so we impute that to them, and we're just flat wrong about it. The poor have their own economy, they manage things.
We're attending only poor patients, but we believe very strongly that to provide value to the service that they're receiving, they need to pay for it. And so it does provide dignity for the patient, whereas if everything is just given to you, you lose a sense of value for those things, and you assume responsibility, in this case for your health care. And when you're receiving education or you're paying for medication, you're going to make sure that you take that, and you're going to comply with what the doctor has given you. When you have a surgery that you've worked hard for, you're going to take care of yourself more, and you're going to do things that in the long run are preventative. Most charity hospitals use the paying patient or the wealthy patient to cover the services of the non-paying patient or the poor patient.
They came in, set up, and said the only way we can do this is by having the people with money here who normally travel to Paris or London or Houston or whatever will come because we have the expertise and we've got foreign doctors. People will come and they'll pay 10 times what the poor will pay or 20 times or whatever, and we can subsidize the poor directly that way. And so slowly but surely what happens, in about 10 to 20 years on my take around the world, these centers have changed to an elitist center where the people that are being taken care of are the VIPs. Attendance of the poor drops to as low as 10%. You've got the poor coming in now through a side door.
Whereas we don't do that. We calculate very carefully what our operational costs are, then charge a small fee that covers only the cost.
So we set up this social contract with them. We say, look, this is it. This is the deal. If you need to pay this, but if you can't, you come anyway. And if you're going to pay 50 pesos a month for the next how many ever months you need, then do that. We find the way to do it.
Finally, there are a very small percentage of patients that absolutely cannot pay.
We maintain a fund that will pay for poor people who can't come. There are always poor people who don't have money. Welcome to the Santana Center. Without exception, we are telling them all over this country, you've got to show up. Show up and don't worry about the money. It's not about the money. And if you don't have the funds, then we will find the funds for you. You hear that music? Come in here. You got to listen to this.
This area here is where the patients come from all over the island to receive care in ophthalmology. This is where the magic begins for many of them as they walk through these doors. In this area, the first part of our exam begins with our ophthalmology patients. They're received here by the ophthalmic technicians to have their visual acuities done, personal medical history, their eye pressures are taken, and they begin their first series of analysis for their eye exam.
Don Salustriano, he's an 80-years-old patient. The first time he came, his vision was really bad because he couldn't see the person in front of him. We did the surgery of his first eye, that was the left eye, and now he's 20/30 of his left eye. And yesterday we did the surgery of his other eye.
This patient has a corneal opacity. We're going to be putting some anesthesia in the eye.
Anastasia Donier, she's a 72-year-old patient which we did cataract surgery on yesterday. She had very, very low vision. She could only see 2 feet.
Today, the first day, we just took out his patch, so he's going to be kind of blurry at first. Puede ver mi